There are moments in WWE that define a generation, times when a superstar just shatters the ceiling and forces the entire world to pay attention. We're living in one of those moments right now. Roxanne Perez has been achieving the impossible, and the WWE landscape is changing because of it. We aren't just talking about a single big win. We're talking about a systematic rewriting of the record books. We're talking about her history-making championship runs in NXT. And we're definitely talking about the record-shattering Royal Rumble performance that didn't just put her on the map, it redrew the entire atlas of the women's division. So how did the prodigy pull off these incredible feats, and what does it all mean for her future? Let's get into it. To get how Roxanne Perez is doing the impossible today, you have to look at the foundation she was built on. This is no overnight success story. It's the result of a life completely dedicated to pro wrestling. Carla Gonzalez, the woman who became Roxanne Perez, started training at the unbelievable age of 13. While most kids were just trying to get through middle school, she was learning to run the ropes. By 16, she was training under WWE Hall of Famer Booker T, a man who knows a thing or two about spotting future champions. He saw that it factor in her from day one. She wasn't just another student, she was the future of his promotion, Reality of Wrestling. She debuted as Roxy and immediately started turning heads on the independent scene. This wasn't just about potential, it was about results. She traveled all over Texas, perfecting her craft, and it all paid off when she became the first ever Ring of Honor Women's World Champion at just 19 years old. Think about that for a second. At an age when most people are just starting to figure out their lives, she was a world champion for a major promotion. She was the youngest in company history, a clear sign of the history-making career that was still to come. So, when she finally signed with WWE in March 2022 and was renamed Roxanne Perez, the expectations were already sky high. They didn't call her the prodigy just because it sounded cool. They called her that because she was one. And she proved it right away. She walked into NXT and won the first ever NXT Women's Breakout Tournament, earning herself a championship contract. She didn't wait long to cash in, teaming up with Cora Jade to win the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. But as any veteran will tell you, the real test isn't how you handle success. It's how you handle betrayal. The image of Cora Jade turning on her, smashing the tag title against her supposed best friend, was a massive turning point. That moment could have broken a lesser performer. For Roxanne, it just forged her in steel. The titles were vacated after Cora tossed her belt in the trash, but the incident added a new layer of grit to her character. She wasn't just the smiling, talented rookie anymore. She was a fighter who had been through the fire, and it was that fire that would fuel her climb to the very top of NXT. After the betrayal, Roxanne Perez had a choice: fade away or step up. She chose to step up. That brings us to NXT Deadline in December 2022 and the first ever Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. This was a new match type designed to test endurance, strategy, and pure will. A 25-minute marathon of pain. And who was the last woman standing? Roxanne Perez. This win wasn't just about getting a title shot. It was a huge piece of foreshadowing. It was the first time we saw on a major stage that Roxanne just has a deeper gas tank than everyone else. Just 3 days later, she didn't waste her shot. She stepped up to the dominant Mandy Rose and did what so many others couldn't. She beat her and became the NXT Women's Champion. At just 21 years old, she was on top of the brand. The prodigy had lived up to the hype, but holding the title is a different kind of pressure. Suddenly, everyone wants a piece of you. Her first reign was a solid 109 days before she lost the title in a chaotic ladder match at Stand and Deliver. Losing the championship is another huge test. Does the hunger fade? Does doubt creep in? For Roxanne, it only made her more focused. It led to a period of intense rivalries and growth, leading to a heel turn at Roadblock that showed a new, more aggressive side of her personality. This wasn't the same happy-go-lucky rookie. This was a hardened competitor willing to do whatever it took to get back on top. And she did. At Stand and Deliver, exactly 1 year after losing the title, she defeated Lyra Valkyria to become the youngest two-time NXT Women's Champion in history, joining elite company like Charlotte Flair and Shayna Baszler. This second reign was even more dominant, lasting an incredible 276 days until she was defeated by Julia at New Year's Evil. She took on all comers, proving she was the standard-bearer of NXT. Being a two-time champion cemented her legacy there, but it also raised a question. What was left for her to prove on the gold brand? She had made history. The main roster wasn't just calling, it was begging for her to arrive. And her answer came in the most spectacular way possible. January 2025, the Royal Rumble. It's the start of the road to WrestleMania, the night where dreams are made. The Women's Royal Rumble match kicks off with Io Sky and Liv Morgan at numbers 1 and 2. The buzzer sounds for number 3, and out walks Roxanne Perez. At just 23 years old, she's an NXT superstar looking to make a name for herself. And what she did next wasn't just impressive, it was legendary. Usually, when an NXT star enters the Rumble, they get a nice pop, maybe an elimination or two, and then get tossed out by a veteran. That is not what happened here. Minute after minute, superstar after superstar, Roxanne Perez stayed in the fight. We watched the ring fill up. We saw legends return and dreams get dashed, and through it all, there was Roxanne. Fighting, clawing, surviving. She wasn't just hiding in a corner either. She was right in the middle of it, trading blows with the best on the main roster. Think about the stamina that takes. Every 90 seconds, a fresh competitor enters the match. The exhaustion builds, your muscles are screaming, and one mistake can send you over the top rope. 10 minutes became 20. 30 minutes passed, and the commentator started to realize something special was happening. This wasn't just a good showing, it was an Iron Woman performance. 45 minutes, an hour. The crowd started to rally behind this young warrior from NXT who just refused to be eliminated. She made it to the final 2 against the returning multi-time world champion, Charlotte Flair. Though Flair ultimately eliminated her, the story was already written. Roxanne Perez had survived for 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 47 seconds, shattering the all-time record for the longest time in a Women's Royal Rumble. In an interview after, she said she didn't even know she'd broken the record. She was just trying to win. That tells you everything about her mindset. This wasn't a fluke. She walked into that Rumble as an NXT prospect and walked out as a main roster-ready headliner. She didn't win the match, but she won the respect of the entire WWE Universe. That Royal Rumble record is something that will be in the history books forever. If you're as blown away by Roxanne's journey as we are, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. We break down all the biggest stories in WWE every week, and you do not want to miss what's coming next for the Prodigy. After a performance like that at the Rumble, a main roster call-up was a sure thing. When the call finally came, Roxanne Perez landed on Monday Night Raw. But she didn't just join the roster, she joined a movement. In a move that shocked a lot of people, the Prodigy was recruited into one of the most dominant factions in modern WWE, the Judgment Day. This was a brilliant move. Instead of getting lost in the shuffle, she was immediately put in a top-tier storyline, surrounded by veterans like Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio. Then, opportunity knocked. Following an injury to Liv Morgan, a spot opened up. On the June 30th, 2025 episode of Raw, Roxanne Perez was officially named the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champion alongside Raquel Rodriguez. It was her first taste of main roster gold, and while the circumstances weren't ideal, it proved a critical point. Roxanne is always ready. She stepped into a high-pressure situation and immediately delivered, proving she belonged with the champions on the main roster. Holding tag team gold is one thing, but to truly be seen as a future world champion, you have to prove it in the singles division. You have to go after the final bosses. And on Raw, there's no bigger boss than someone like the Genius of the Sky, Io Sky. We're talking about a former two-time world champion, a Money in the Bank winner, and one of the best high flyers on the planet. A match with Io isn't just a match, it's a measuring stick. While a major singles clash between them hasn't happened just yet, her arrival on Raw and her place in a top faction puts her on a direct collision course with the division's elite. That showdown feels inevitable. Beating a competitor of that caliber is the impossible win that would legitimize her as a threat to anyone and everyone. So, what's next for the woman who has seemingly done it all before the age of 24? Let's just look at the resume. Two-time NXT Women's Champion, NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, WWE Women's Tag Team Champion, the first ever Women's Iron Survivor, winner of the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament, the record holder for the longest time in a Women's Royal Rumble. The word prodigy doesn't even feel strong enough anymore. Her position in the Judgment Day gives her a new edge. Her tag team title reign gave her main roster credibility. Now she is perfectly positioned to make a run for the Women's World Championship. How can she not be in that conversation? This sets the stage for what feels like an inevitable ascent to the very top of the mountain. The path forward is wide open. Does this lead to a championship match at a major premium live event? Does she challenge for the title at WrestleMania, completing the journey that began with her record-breaking Rumble performance? The questions are endless, and that's what makes this so exciting. For the first time, it feels like Roxanne Perez is in control of her own destiny on the main roster. WWE can't believe it because talents like this just don't come around very often. A wrestler with her skill, her accomplishments, and her dedication at such a young age is truly a generational talent. From a 13-year-old kid training in Texas to a Ring of Honor world champion at 19, from a two-time NXT Women's Champion to the Iron Woman of the Royal Rumble, Roxanne Perez's journey has been unbelievable. Her arrival on the main roster isn't the end of her story. It's the beginning of her next and greatest chapter. We are watching the rise of a wrestler who isn't just destined for the Hall of Fame, but who is building her wing for it in real time. Roxanne Perez didn't just do the impossible. She made it all look inevitable. She is not just the future of the women's division. She is the now. And that leaves us with one final question for you. What do you think is the single greatest achievement of Roxanne Perez's career so far? Was it the record-breaking Rumble performance, winning the NXT title twice? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching.